Oh my God, you're right. Again, and then again. Say it slower this time, because it deserves the slow version. You called it loud, clear, out in the open where everybody could hear it. And now the room is sitting in silence because there is nothing left to argue with. You are not guessing anymore. You are not being dramatic anymore. You are not reading too much into it anymore. You were right. And everybody who rolled their eyes at you is now sitting there with their mouth shut, because you are absolutely right. And honestly, at this point, you cannot stop winning even if you tried. Let's sit in that for a second, because that word right used to feel lonely on you. It used to feel like a weight instead of a badge. You'd say something, you'd feel in it, in your chest, before you even had the words for it. And you'd watch the room go still in that awkward, uncomfortable way, like you'd said something you were not supposed to say out loud, and because it was wrong, because it was too true, too early, too inconvenient for anybody to deal with yet. And you know that stillness. You know it in your bones, that specific kind of quiet where nobody looks at you directly, but everybody heard you. This is your Paul River moment. Seriously, think about it. Paul didn't ride through the streets whispering, politely asking permission to wake people up. He was shouting into the dark, risking his reputation, while everyone else was cozy in their beds, completely unaware that something massive was already heading their way. You're like him, like the Paul of this truth. And the British, the skeptics, the doubters, the ones who rolled their eyes and told you to calm down, are finally realizing you were not just shouting into the wind. You were the only one with a map. While they were sleeping on the details, lulled into comfort by a polished smile, you were awake. You were the lighthouse in a storm that hadn't even reached the shore yet for anyone else. This isn't arrogance. That's story repeating itself. Every moment, every exposure of a hidden truth needs that one voice that sounds the alarm before the evidence is convenient. That's you. And now they are just retreating, looking around at each other, wondering how they missed the warning signs you were holding up like a blazing torch. Picture it. You are standing there, maybe at work, maybe at a family thing, maybe just a group that chats that goes dead the second you type the thing everybody's been avoiding. You say the name, you say the situation, you say what you've been noticing for weeks, maybe months, or longer. And for one long stretch out of second, nobody breathes. That's the moment this is about. That exact moment, because that moment always comes right before the moment where the whole thing blows wide open and proves you right. And here's the part nobody tells you when you are the one who sees things early. People get mad at you for it. Yeah, they get mad. Not because you did anything wrong, because you saw something that they were not ready to see yet. And instead of thanking you, they turned it around on you. They called you negative. They called you dramatic. Help me with that. They thought you were reaching, but it turns out you were just looking further ahead than they were willing to go. They said you were always looking for problems. Somebody told you to mind your business. Somebody stopped calling you back. Somebody looked at you like you had two heads for simply saying out loud the thing that was already happening right in front of everyone's face. You got iced out of the group for saying it. You got talked about behind your back for saying it. And the wild part is you kept your composure. You kept it moving. You didn't need anybody's permission to keep seeing what you saw. So let's talk about who this is really about. Because I want you to picture a real person, a real situation, not something abstract. Think about that couple or that couple or that pair of people everybody in your circle looks up to. The ones who show up polished. The ones who smile for the group photo, who host their fundraiser, who run the little committee everybody trusts, who collect the donations, who stand at the front of the room looking like the golden example of we have it all together. We have it together. Camera ready. Community approved. The pair everyone points to and says, well, at least they are doing it right. You knew. You knew before anybody wanted to admit it. You couldn't always prove it. Maybe you didn't have the paperwork. Maybe you didn't have the receipts yet. But you felt it. That inch under your skin that said something behind that smile wasn't adding up. Numbers that didn't quite make sense. Money that moved a little too quietly. A story that shifted every time somebody asked a real question. You clocked it. And when you said something, even gently, even just once, you got looked at like you were the problem, like you were the one causing drama by simply noticing what was already there. And that's the thing about this kind of truth, yeah. It doesn't explode all at once. It's a slow burn. Somebody lit that fuse a long time ago, and it's been quietly, steadily crawling along this whole time while everybody else was busy clapping for the smiling photo. You could feel the fuse burning even when you couldn't see it. You knew it was only a matter of time because a little bit doesn't care how good somebody looks in a group picture. It just keeps burning until it reaches the thing it was always headed for. I know some of you were holding your breath, waiting for the other shoe to drop. But here we are, standing on a solid ground. You don't have to hold that tension in your chest anymore. And now here we are. It's starting to come out in pieces. A little here, a little there. Somebody mentions something they heard. somebody posts something vague online that everybody quietly understands. Numbers stop matching up in public. And piece by piece, the picture starts forming. The one you already saw finished a long time ago. It's not sudden for you. It's just confirmation. It's the world finally catching up to what you already knew. That's called a spade of space. As a spade of spade. The receipts are in and they are undeniable. It's not about being right for the sake of ego. No. It's about the fact that the truth doesn't need a loud voice when it has results. Something spilled. Yeah, something got knocked over that cannot be unknocked. Maybe you tried to warn somebody gently, privately, one-on-one, and they brushed you off. Maybe you were not trying to start anything. You were just trying to protect somebody from getting hurt the way you already saw coming. And now that person is standing in the middle of the room, watching everything they were trying to hide come spilling out in front of everyone. And there is no tripping over a rock to blame, no excuse to reach for. It happened because it was always going to happen. And everyone in that room, everyone who used to whisper about you behind your back, is now standing there in that same heavy silence, looking at each other like, wait, they were right. I'm not here to say, I told you so. I'm here to say, I'm glad you're finally seeing what I see. And it's not even really about the couple or the boss or the friend or whoever the center of this is for you. It's about the people around them, the ones who dismissed you, the ones who said, get away from me with that, who told you that you were being negative, who told you to stop talking about it, who stopped inviting you places because you always had something to say. Those are people, the people sitting there right now thinking, damn, they were right again. That gut drop feeling of realizing you doubted the one person who saw it clearly the whole time. Because this was never just about one event happening. It's about the fact that you called it. You said it when it was inconvenient. You said it when it made you unpopular. You said it when it cost you invitations, friendships, relationships, maybe even a seat at a table you used to belong at. You said it. And it went in one ear and out the other, laughed off, whispered about, brushed aside like you were the one with the problem. And now it's not just true, it's undeniably, embarrassingly, beyond a shadow of a doubt, true. This isn't maybe you had a point. This is a full, unmistakable, nobody can argue with it confirmation. It's one thing to guess. It's another thing to be precise. And today, precision won the day. If this feels like a glitch in the matrix to them, it's only because they are still playing by the old rules. Let's go even deeper, a little, because there is a layer to this that nobody else could see but you. You said this person or these people were doing things they were not supposed to be doing, moving money in ways that didn't line up, taking from a pot that wasn't theirs to take from, playing loose with everything that was supposed to be handled with integrity. And look at them now. Same smiling faces from the photos, same polished public image, except none of them, except now one of them is somewhere crying about how disappointed they are, acting shocked, acting blindsided, when really the only shocking part is that it took this long. And the other one is somewhere far less comfortable dealing with the consequences of choices that were never as hidden as they thought. The collective called it. You called it. Here it is. And there is a second layer underneath even that. The part that was happening behind somebody's back, that nobody else clocked but you. Somebody smiling in public while something entirely different was happening in private. Somebody insisting they would never, while the whole time they absolutely were. That specific gut punch of watching someone defend a person who's been quietly betraying them the entire time. And you're the only one who saw it coming because you noticed the little inconsistencies nobody else bothered to look at. That was either morally wrong or straight up against the rules. And either way, it's coming out now. The fuse is getting shorter. Nobody can feel it in the air, even the people who don't want to admit they feel it. If you feel a bit shook by now, by how fast this moved, trust me, you're not alone. You're just the one who processed it first. Now, here's the part that actually matters more than the drama itself. What you were doing this whole time while everyone else was busy running their mouths about you. You went quiet. You went into your own space. You stopped explaining yourself to people who were not listening anyway. And in that quiet, you did something people never expected you to be capable of. You paid attention. You did the digging. You asked the questions nobody else thought to ask. You noticed, for sure, you noticed the dates that didn't line up, the story that changed depending on who was in the room, the receipts that quietly told a different story than the smile did. People assumed that because you are warm, because you are friendly, because you smile a lot and keep things light, that you were not paying attention. They thought you were the type of person who they could get away with anything around. That your kindness meant you were naive, that your patience meant you were slow to catch on. They were wrong. Yeah, the whole time you were taking mental notes. The whole time you were quietly putting the pieces together while they were busy congratulating themselves on getting away with it. That's actually the real superpower in this whole thing. Not the drama, not the vindication, no. But the fact that you can sit back, stay calm, keep it together in the moment, and still be doing the work underneath the surface. You know how to research, yeah. You know how to dig. You know how to sit with information until it makes sense, instead of reacting the second you feel something's off. That patience is rare. Oh, really rare. That quiet observation is rare. People will underestimate it every single time, and every single time it ends up being the exact thing that makes you impossible to fool twice. This isn't a fluke, it's a pattern. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. You didn't just watch this happen, you witnessed a shift in the entire narrative. So, picture everybody now, scattered, each in their own corner, quietly having their own private reckoning. The people who used to smile the biggest in public are the quietest now. Nobody's posting the polished photos anymore. Nobody's hosting the big event right now. Everybody who used to gossip about how negative you were being is sitting somewhere by themselves, replaying every conversation they were told you to stop talking about it. That's what happens after the truth breaks the surface. Everyone gets uncomfortably reflective all at once. Because nobody wants to be the one caught still defending the thing that just got proven wrong. And with that reflection comes a wave of confusion for a lot of people around this situation. Not for you, but for everyone standing in the wreckage trying to figure out their next move. Decisions that used to feel optional suddenly don't feel optional anymore. Maybe somebody has to walk away from a job that's falling apart. Maybe somebody has to end a relationship they have been holding onto out of loyalty instead of truth. Maybe a whole group, a whole project, a whole thing everybody built together quietly dissolves because there is nothing left to hold it up. And here is the thing, when the truth is this loud, this confirmed, this undeniable, the choice basically makes itself. Nobody has to apologize over, should I stay or should I go, when the whole structure already collapsed underneath them. The room definitely goes quiet again. But this time it's a different kind of quiet. It's the quiet of people realizing there is no version of this where they get to pretend anymore. We are moving past the if and straight into the how, because the if has been settled once and for all. But for you, this next part is where it turns. Because after all that noise, after all that being talked about, dismissed, iced out, laughed at, you get your moment. Not a bitter one, not a told you so, said out loud. Because you don't even need to say it. The truth is already saying it for you. You get the moment where people who used to avoid you are suddenly curious what you know. Where people start asking you what you saw, how you knew, why you were always 3 steps ahead of everyone else in the room. You get interviewed, in a sense. People want your side now. People want your perspective now. When 6 months ago, they wanted you to be quiet. To the skeptics, in the back. I see you, and honestly, You doubt the fuel that kept the engine running. And there is something even bigger underneath all of this. Something about you that's been hidden for a long time. Something people never gave you credit for. That this whole situation ends up dragging into the light. Maybe it's your intuition, maybe it's your ability to see patterns before anyone else does. Maybe it's simply the fact that you don't let people's smiles distract you from what your gut is telling you. Whatever it is, you took this exact situation to finally make people see it. And once they see it, they cannot unsee it. Suddenly, you are not the negative one anymore. You are the one who is always somehow right, even when everyone insists you are wrong, even when the whole room is convinced you are overreacting. It happens again and again, to the point where people start quietly asking, why does it always work out for them? Why do they always end up right? And the honest answer is simple. You pay attention when other people are too busy performing. I've been binging this drum for a while now, and it's beautiful to finally hear the rest of the world catching the beat. This is a full circle kind of feeling, the kind where every single time somebody doubted you, every single time somebody counted you out, every single time somebody told you to stop talking, all of it gets answered at once. Not with revenge, no, not with gloating, just with quiet, undeniable truth landing exactly where it needed to land. The dream you didn't even know you were holding onto. The dream where the truth finally comes out and sets everybody free, including you, actually happens. And when it happens, something in your body relaxes that's probably been tense for longer than you even realized. You get to actually rest. You get to actually let it go. Not because you are pretending it didn't matter, but because it's finally completely out in the open and there is nothing left for you to carry alone anymore. Everybody involved goes their separate ways to process it in their own time. Some people disappear into their own silence for a while even, actually. Some people cry over the mess they helped create. Some people simply go quiet because there is nothing left to say. And you get to exhale. You get to lay your head down without that low hum of, am I crazy for noticing this? Running in the background anymore. You get to stop defending your own perception of reality to people who were not paying attention the way you were. As quiet as it's kept. Nobody really wants to gossip about it anymore either. Everybody just quietly agrees to let it rest, to take the loss, to move on without dragging it out further. And that's fine, yeah, because you already got what you were needed the moment the truth confirmed what you already knew deep down. I am keeping my receipts, but I'm also keeping my eyes on the next horizon. So here is where this leaves you. Not smug, not bitter, not just settled, just sure of yourself in a way you maybe were not before. Because now you know, without a single doubt, that your God has never actually been wrong. It's been early, it's been inconvenient, it's been unpopular, but it has never once been wrong. And once you really sit with that, once you let that truth land all the way down into your bones, something shifts permanently. You stop shrinking your own perception to other people to make other people comfortable. You stop doubting yourself just because a room goes quiet when you speak. You start trusting that quiet, steady voice that's been right every single time, even when nobody else wanted to hear it. We don't need validation from the crowd when we have the ultimate validator. Reality, yeah. So you were right, again, and then again. You called it loud and clear out in the open when it would have been so much easier to stay silent. And now the people who are doubted you are the ones sitting in the silence instead. You are not imagining things you never were. You are not too much. You never were. You are simply someone who sees clearly, who feels things before they are proven, who trusts their own perception even when the whole room disagrees. And once you learn to trust that fully, once you stop needing anyone else's permission to believe your own guys, that's when you really understand it. You're not just occasionally right. You cannot stop winning because you are never actually guessing in the first place. You were just early. And now, finally, everyone else is catching up.